Hi, welcome to this Open Security Summit session in September 2024. And Ashley has put an amazing panel here on one of the topics that I think is super important. And we're going to be talking about stories of female empowerment in cybersecurity. And it's definitely one of the areas that I think we need a lot more females in the cybersecurity space. I tried very actively to rehire, in that space. And then there's definitely, we have a pipeline challenge. So what I hope you can get out of this is a lot of great inspiring stories, great examples of how you've done it. So hopefully this new generation feels a lot more empowered and realize that we're all making it up as we go along. So it's okay to join our industry, which is an awesome industry, by the way. We're making the world safer. It's one of the best industries to be in. So Ashley, over to you.
Thank you. That was great. So I'm Ashley. I'm here with some wonderful, amazing humans that are going to have some great stories for you in perspective. To begin, we're going to talk a little bit about female empowerment, some challenges, some perspectives that we've gained throughout our time here in security. We're not here representing our companies. We're here on our own accord to talk about our stories individually. So we're really looking forward to this. I'm going to start first with introducing myself, and then we will move on. So I'm Ashley. It's a very fun, weird little story, but I actually have a master's in environmental studies with focus on popular epidemiology, not related to security whatsoever. Graduated, I moved away, had a great time, came back, and actually became a university professor. And I really enjoyed it. I taught ethics, gender, class, and race, international social politics, lots of really, really cool, just cool topics. But I just wasn't feeling it was for me. So I actually moved careers again and started helping people find careers. I did that for 5 years. And I was actually helping a lot of people find careers in cybersecurity, which was very funny. And I remember I took a Post-it and I put it on my computer and it said, I will be in cybersecurity. That's where I wanted to go. So COVID happened, like everyone, and I thought, what a good time to try. So I started networking. I snuck into an online conference, found a mentor, took lots of different online courses to figure out what I liked and I didn't. And then I was offered an opportunity to interview and get into cybersecurity. And I'll tell you, it's been quite the journey. It's a lot of fun. And, I just really look forward to us having this chance to talk about it. So I'm going to move on. Shailynn, I believe you're next. Or no, Kasia. Kasia, you're next. Forgot we're doing it alphabetical.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Kasia, and I think as all of the panelists here, my journey into cybersecurity wasn't exactly linear. So I actually started in journalism and photography, so both sort of very creative fields. But then at some point, I sort of fell into the world of regulatory compliance. And that was kind of interesting to me because I like to see how things are sort of built behind the scenes. And so in that space, I was sort of focused on building policies and processes and managing issues, coordinating audits and exams. And so with that, it kind of gave me the perspective of how vital governance is and risk management is, for an organization. So within those roles, I sort of found myself increasingly involved in cybersecurity governance projects. And so again, making sure that those programs and those practices align with the legal and the sort of industry standards. So through that journey, I've been working on, developing different frameworks and managing risk proactively. And that's something that I really, really enjoy about this journey because, again, you get to kind of build it from the foundation up and really focusing on that strong foundation and helping secure the organization for the long term. So who's next?
Shailynn, you're up. We can't hear you. She always has trouble with Zoom.
Yeah, I apologize.
There you go. You're perfect.
So sorry.
Okay.
So hi, my name is Shailynn Hacker. I'm currently a doctoral student pursuing my PhD in cyber defense, and my day job is actually in adversarial research. So I'm figuratively and literally a hacker. I came from a cardiac nursing background. Before information security, I was providing intensive care to the Kansas City area, and then I provided COVID relief for another 2 years. And I believe this is my third year in the actual information security space. Very similar to the other women on this panel, not traditional in terms of my transition story. I between intensive cardiac care and COVID, I essentially experienced just insane burnout. And that burnout translated to I have to move industries. And that ended up being the IT and InfoSec space. And I've been enjoying it ever since then. Can give it over to Taylor.
Thanks everyone for Ashley. Thank you for putting together our panel. I'm excited, and it's always interesting when I reflect on my journey to where I'm at currently. And I have a bachelor's degree in management marketing and my MBA. And I started in physical security. So I was going to school and COVID hit. They sent us all home. And I was working as a security guard on the second shift, and not the most glamorous job, pretty boring. It was kind of great. I got to work on school while doing my job. And then I transitioned into industrial security, and that's where I learned more of regulations and different rules and how to handle aspects of the company. And then I found my way into the cybersecurity world, where I work primarily in the governance and compliance area, and I focus on supplier risk. So completely different aspects of security, and some of it not that glamorous, some of it very glamorous. And I've enjoyed it a ton. So let me open up the floor and let's discuss our favorite aspects of our role. My favorite part is tracking down answers. I get to work with multiple groups and teams every day, which I love. I love listening to people's job roles and their knowledge on different topics, and I get to learn from other people, and I love that, especially since I don't have that coding background. I'm not technical savvy, you could say. And I enjoy following processes. So I get to use critical thinking every day, and each case is different. And I love that. Every day is so different. Shailynn, do you want to give your 2 cents, I guess, on your favorite aspect of your role?
Yeah, so I would definitely say that my favorite thing about the cybersecurity space is change. Cybersecurity is about constant growth, constant development, constant change. And it's really a field that allows you to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's a space that kind of pushes you beyond your potential of today and really shows you who you can be and who you're meant to become tomorrow. And that's something about the field that I have felt from day one. And it's something that I have seen from day one, not only for myself, but for, my peers and the people around me also in this field. And that's got to be probably my number one favorite thing about it. Ashley, do you want to pitch in?
I don't know if I can after such a poetic answer. That was beautiful. Wow.
Thank you.
So beautiful. So I actually forgot in my intro to mention what I do in security because I got that excited. I am a project/program manager, and I work a lot with, literally working multidisciplinary teams, IT, engineering, security, compliance, working all over the place. So I'm managing projects, I'm helping people get what they need done, but also I'm helping with like PCI, SOC 2. I'm kind of like a jack of all trades right now. So it's pretty fun. And I'm going to agree with Shailynn that change is a really interesting part. That I really do enjoy that, but also I enjoy that I'm consistently learning something new. So every day is not a regular day for me, and because this industry is expanding and it's so big and there's so many different roles that you can just navigate into, one of my favorite things is it's infinite. There's infinite opportunities in security, and that is pretty cool if you think about it. So you might enter in a governance, like you could enter governance and then end up maybe even being like hacking. You could enter hacker and realize, you know what, I want to get into management. So now you're in management. There is so much fun opportunity and movement in security that it's almost like the world's your oyster when you go into it. And I think I feel that's one of my most favorite parts. And I'm going to say this too. My other favorite part is the people I get to work with. I honestly, yeah, like it's so good.
I think simply because our panel is like a really great example of this. You're going to meet so many different people in
Yeah.
cybersecurity. It's definitely not a cookie cutter type of field by any sense. Like within my organization, which I'm lucky enough that I work with technically all of you across our organizations, but we have individuals in our information security department that were, nurses in their past lives. They are, former military. They are former active duty, undercover narcotic officers. Like we have people that have come from all walks of life.
Yeah.
And they all provide such uniqueness, and they broaden the perspective immensely that the change is almost inevitable because of the amount of difference you have in the space and the people of the space.
The exposure you get to these people too, right? And the things they know, it's really stunning. We could go on forever about this, but I'm gonna pass it to Kasia. And Kasia, what's yours? Like, tell us how you feel. What's your favorite part?
I mean, I agree 100%. It is such a cross-functional area. You get to work with IT, legal, everybody's involved. So if I think about it again, like what I really like is actually building the foundation of a company. And so again, sort of zooming out and thinking about building that framework that aligns with the sort of business objectives. To me, that's really exciting to understand where is this company going, what is our overall goal, and how do we fit cybersecurity into it. And also there's this balancing act between sort of innovation and again staying compliant, right? And so working in governance and understanding all the regulatory frameworks and the risks and how do we manage those risks, I think that's a really cool piece that I get to be involved in, and I really appreciate that because again, I get to see like the zoomed out perspective, like how do you run an organization that is successful and is innovative and has their business goals, but also to stay compliant and secure in the process is kind of cool to see.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. I think that's a really cool perspective too, that you get to see that and get to be part of that growth. Like, how cool is that?
Exactly.
Yeah, very neat. So I think one thing that as we were all meeting and having these discussions, one thing that really came up was challenges. So we always spoke about different challenges we were facing, how they look to us, because challenges look different for everybody, right? There's lots of different kinds of challenges. So how do we feel, about the challenges we're facing and how do we overcome them? I think is a really good point that we want to discuss here. Taylor, do you want to take it off first?
Yeah. So I love that Shailynn said her favorite part about the role that we're in is that things are constantly changing. And to me, that can be a challenge because things are changing so fast. You got to maintain and keep up with the times, right? And I think the best way to overcome feeling like you're always a step behind. Staying curious, I think, always wanting to learn more, always wanting to get different perspectives, asking questions. I feel like that's one thing that has helped me a ton in the role that I'm currently in, is asking questions. Ask questions to people in different groups, different areas, different departments. Then you get a broad idea of the direction that your organization wants to go, or the direction that you want to go. Yeah, I would say that. And I know we all kind of touched on that imposter syndrome. That's a big challenge that I've learned to overcome. I'd say in the last year, a little bit. It sneaks up every now and then, but having the people around me that gives me confidence and boosts me up is fantastic and helps me overcome challenges. Anyone else?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that constant change is both exciting and challenging. And so again, we find ourselves, you learn something new and you think you got it, you're on top of it, and then something else creeps up and you're lagging behind again. So I think, again, understanding that, being curious is key. And like you said, asking those questions and giving yourself some grace. We're all sort of learning as we go, especially in this rapid environment where, there's new regulations, new technology evolving. And so I think giving yourself that grace is super important. And like you said, just having that network of, people that support you, and so where we can sort of bounce ideas off of each other and support each other in the process and figure things out as we go. You're not siloed in your role. You have your support system, and you sort of brainstorm and work through challenges together. So I think that's been super helpful for me, especially.
I think that's a really good point as well. For me, and I'm gonna get a little bit real here, because I feel like being transparent with my feelings is who I am, and I like to keep to that, is my major challenge is getting out of my own way. And I say that in the sense that I've career transitioned multiple times. I came into this field really excited. Like, I know I always wanted to do it, but I'm always questioning myself. Am I smart enough? Have I done well? Is this done well? Like, and it's not that I don't have confidence in myself. I have a lot of confidence, like tons of confidence. And everyone on this panel knows that. But
Yeah.
the fact is that I am constantly questioning, because I'm newer here, right? I don't have the 10+ years. And I'm also finding a big challenge for myself is that I'm sometimes placed in a box where I'm not technical. So you're not technical, you can't be part of this. Or you're not technical, maybe you'll have trouble learning this. Right. And that's in a general context in security overall. And where I'm feeling is, how do I overcome that? How can I show that, hey, like I can do technical work. I just don't like it that much. Straight up. Man. Like, there you go. But that's where my challenge overcomes, not overcomes, but overcomes me a little bit, is trying to get out of my own way and realize my skills and abilities are really awesome. I am good at supporting people. I care deeply. I'm kind. And those are things that are hard to teach, that I think are really relevant in this field, because as we're here all together, our number one thing is to band together and help people. Because if you look at security, our whole goal is to help, which is actually pretty awesome. So I feel like that partially is one of my challenges, but I overcome it because I have a wicked support system, such as you guys, and I'm quite appreciative. Like, I appreciate all of you for that. And I think that the more we support each other, the more successful we'll be. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's always that discomfort with trying something new and putting yourself out there, but I think that's also a sign of growth, right? Making yourself feel uncomfortable and kind of stepping out of your lane and again trying something new is a sign of growth. And I think trusting yourself and again giving yourself that grace to maybe go into something that you're not fully familiar with. But understanding and trusting yourself that, hey, I've learned a lot of very difficult things in the past, so why wouldn't I learn this, right?
Exactly.
I think that's, again, you're having trust in yourself. And of course, you're always going to feel nervous. I think that's also a sign of caring, and, you know, you want to do well, and that's normal. But again, giving yourself the chance to kind of step out of your comfort zone and trusting that you can do it.
I definitely think the trend of this particular question from, you know, the three of you so far, and then what I'm going to throw in as well, you know, between discomfort, having some grace, you know, being, you know, there for one another, caring about not just your potential, but the potential of those around you. I can safely say that we all kind of struggle with passion, you know, and not that we're not passionate enough, but that we're overly passionate. You know, we 99% of the time we live, eat, sleep, breathe, dream information security. You know, it's something that is just so all encompassing that it bleeds into everything that we do. And not just information security, but the culture of information security. You know, the culture of being better together, being there for one another, being able to be okay with not being okay, and being okay with failing, because failure is essential for growth. If you're not failing, you're not doing it right. And yeah.
Yeah.
And
I don't
you
mean
know,
to cut you off. I'm just like, I agree with you
oh,
wholeheartedly.
sorry, I thought you wanted to
Yeah.
jump in, Ashley.
No. I disagree with, I 100% agree with you.
The reason why I would consider struggling with passion a challenge, and a challenge that I'm still actively working to overcome, is when you struggle with something like being overly passionate, so much so that it bleeds into everything, you don't have space to breathe. And I mean that in the sense of you don't have the space to bounce back from, you know, difficult situations, rough conversations with management or colleagues, you know, the day just not going your way. It makes it really difficult to actually practice resiliency when you don't have space to be resilient, to kind of crumble just a little bit so you can say, okay, you know, things just aren't going great today, but that's fine. It's just today. It's not like it's every day. It's not like it's going to be like this forever either. But if you don't have space to do that, you deflate, you shut down. It does feel like it's going to be like that forever. And you'll believe it too. I believe it all the time because I don't give myself room to go home at the end of the day and do something that has absolutely zero to do with information security. And it's just something that I do because it brings me joy. It brings me peace. So something that I am actively working on to overcome this challenge is I find time to write. I find time to write so that I can actively practice gratitude. Not saying that I think I'm an ungrateful person. I think I'm a relatively grateful person. I think everybody thinks they're relatively grateful people. But just like negative things in life, positive things in life also kind of become just like normal. And your brain gets into this repetitive action of, oh, well, it's just normal that, you know, life is good. It's just normal that, you know, I have loving peers and loving family and a decent job and that I'm happy. So when your brain gets into this normalcy mode, it starts to forget those things. And I remember having a conversation with another peer of mine that they kind of had me go through this practice of just sit down for like 2 minutes a day, maybe like twice a week, and just write out 5 things that you're grateful for. Doesn't have to be, you know, absolutely poetic, doesn't have to be groundbreaking. It could simply be something like, I had a really good cup of coffee today, and I'm really grateful for that. Because it gets your brain out of this normalcy mode of kind of just crunching all things together, negative and positive, and kind of forgetting the impact of those positive things. So that's one of the things that I'm actively working on to overcome my challenges in this space.
You know, I think this actually ties in really well with the next kind of perspective that we were thinking about talking about, which was how do we gain confidence? You know, traditionally, I believe it was approximately 20% of women are in cybersecurity right now. Is that the correct stat? Around
I think
20%?
we're close to 25, but
25,
it's
yeah.
between 20 and 25.
So that's not that many. Like, let's just be honest, that's not that
It's
much.
a lower number.
Yeah, it's quite low. And ideally, when you think about that, when you're entering a field where you don't see a lot of yourself, that can influence your ability to relate, so if I'm not seeing myself, I'm not working with like someone I can even relate to, or maybe I'm not seeing another female, it can sometimes influence your confidence level. Well, where can I grow? What can I do? Like I might think different. I have different lived experiences. All right. And for that, I think this is a really good way for us to tie in how do we gain confidence in this industry? Kasia, do you want to grab that one first?
Yeah, I mean, I yes, women are definitely underrepresented in this field, but whenever I meet a woman in cybersecurity, she's a rock star, and that's really inspiring to me, right? Like immediately I'm like, okay, I like that. That's what I want to be. So that helps me sort of build that confidence, because there are women who do it and that do it really well, right? So I think we need to recognize that and just understand that more of us can actually do the same. So that to me is really important. I think, understanding that we can bring value into these conversations. And again, we all come from different backgrounds. All of us here on this panel can bring in skills that we have used in our prior roles, and understand that there's a lot of really transferable skills. And so, yeah, maybe, the lack of confidence for me is more in the fact that I don't have the technology background, but there's a bunch of other skills that I can bring in. And so I focus on that. And I think that recognizing that is really important. So yes, women are underrepresented, but again, try to find the ones that are there, and I find them inspiring and focus on that, because I think that's what we need to kind of look forward to.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think for myself, confidence, I agree with you actually. Like if I could steal your answer, I would. It's so good. But I feel that it's through other people that I'm gaining confidence, but it's also because when I meet with other people, particularly other women in this field, they lift me up by reminding me of the cool stuff that I've accomplished and can do, which is wonderful, because sometimes when we get in the thick of it all, we forget that.
Right.
We forget all the cool things that you've accomplished and what you can do and what your skills relate to. You forget it. And I find when I surround myself with really stunning people, as you said, rock stars in this industry, these amazing women, particularly, I feel uplifted. Like I feel like I could take on the whole world. Nothing's going to stop me. Let's go. It's really awesome. I also feel too that, gaining confidence happens through experience.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
Yeah. So, I remember taking on so many different projects that I wasn't 100% sure I could do. I am brand new. I wasn't sure I could do it. And it turns out forgive my language, but I kicked ass at it. I did so well at these tasks. And it was because my transferable skills were actually very useful in completing them. And so I had to take a jump and I tried something new. And that's part of confidence building is, maybe you're not sure. And, I know we talked about failure. Failure also helps you build confidence. You're not going to succeed all the time, but it's the lessons we learn from that failure that we're going to take and build elsewhere. So I feel, like confidence comes in a lot of different ways, but supporting each other is a really big one too.
Piggybacking off of that, Ashley, I think practice being uncomfortable until the point of being uncomfortable is normal. I think that's some sport quote somewhere, but it's true. If you push yourself outside your box, like speaking at a conference like this is so out of my normal comfort zone. And I was speaking just a few months ago in front of our department. Oh, I was so nervous. My hands were sweaty for days leading up to it. And the people I was speaking with, they just reminded me, like, Taylor, you are capable of doing this. You are speaking in front of peers that respect you and know that you are a smart person. And it just makes the next time I go to speak in front of people, I'm more confident in doing that, and I'm excited, which is, speaking in front of people is not something I'm normally excited about. But I have a sports background, so one of the coaches that I played for, he said, you don't have to be good at everything. Find the few things that you're really good at and be amazing at it. Be the best that you can be, and then you don't spread yourself so thin and fall into that burnout or I don't know, mental space that you can't be successful.
See a raised hand.
Yeah, I see a hand.
Hello.
Hi.
Can I ask you to cover the topic of why cybersecurity needs more women and why it makes a lot of business sense and is the right thing to do?
I
Could
think
I
we
start on
for
that?
that. You go for it.
So I'm going to actually approach this question from the perspective of a different industry. I would like to approach it from the standpoint of the medicine industry, healthcare. You know, for a very long time, there were primarily only male doctors performing particular operations on women. And for a very long time, the success rates of these operations on women by male doctors were very low. But when female doctors started practicing these same medications, you know, the same medical backgrounds, started doing the same operations, they have much higher success rates because they know these people, because they are these people. It's very important to have individuals of all backgrounds, you know, whether you're, you know, a female, a male, you know, a non-categorized individual, whatever your background is, it adds to the conversation. And it adds to the conversation in a way that somebody else that is not you will never be able to contribute. And the fact that they're never going to be able to contribute that because they're not you, you're always going to be missing that vital piece of information that can significantly change the outcome of whatever the conversation is. And having that variety, it also keeps the conversation from being very narrow-minded. It keeps the conversation from being, this is the way that we've always done it. This is the way that we're always going to continue doing it. It kind of keeps you from siloing, not just yourself, but everybody else around you and everybody that your industry or your conversation or whatever, you know, the example may be that is impacting it. It keeps them from also being forced into well, this is just how we've always done it. So in IT and information security, especially because of the fact that it's changing at almost like light year type of speed, it's kind of ridiculous to even think that it makes sense to not have as many perspectives as humanly possible in the room for the conversation, because you're going to miss something. Like, you're guaranteed to miss something vital without as many perspectives as humanly possible in the room for that conversation. So anytime I hear the question of, you know, why is it important? You know, why does it especially matter? I always go back to examples from medicine, because medicine is probably the closest example that it's something that you can see statistically the major shift in, you know, outcomes, procedures, the development of new medications and operations. It's very apparent that without all options or all perspectives in the room, you're going to be inherently leaving somebody out, and you're going to inherently harm somebody as well, because you don't know that person, because you're not that person, and they're not being represented in the conversation.
I think that's actually really, you're not that person is really interesting. You know, I saw a YouTube, it was actually a TED Talk, and it talked about how a woman's brain works differently. And I actually personally related to it. And it sort of explained it in the matter of a web. So, you know, okay, so I'm going to use my life as an example. I'm lucky enough to have two very cute little dogs and a bunch of cats and live in the middle of nowhere. It's a great life. And when I look at something, one thing, I think how that thing is going to overall relate to other things. Right? Okay, I have to finish work. I'm planning to make supper. Okay, well, that's supper. Here's what I have to do to make that supper. But what's included in making that supper, and how does that influence everything down the line until the end of the evening? Right. And I say that because I feel women's brains are capable of looking at something and seeing how it relates to a bunch of different other things. All right. So I may look at one aspect of security, but see how it relates to a wide variety of different ones. So it could relate to governance, it might relate to engineering, it could relate to DevSecOps, it could like there's so many ways that my one little task can influence multiple parts of security that when I think about that, I think of how amazing that is. And why wouldn't you want that in a team? Why wouldn't you ever want that in a team, in a company, to be able to take one thing and relate it directly to several other aspects? How is this going to influence things? Why will this act? Why will this act a certain way? Why do we do this? It's a really different perspective. And, you know, I don't want to say it's for every single woman's brain. I'm not a neurologist. I don't know anything about brains. I don't know anything about anything like this. But you know, still I relate to it. And I feel that not only that, but our lived experiences bring value to how we do work, to what we can bring. You know, my lived experiences allow me to have empathy. They allow me to care. They allow me to be kind and understand. They allow me to support, like I will support other people and lift them up when I can. I value teams, etc. Those lived experiences to me as a woman, I got because of that. You know, because of my lived experiences, I'm allowed now and capable to bring those to my workplace. So it seems like a no-brainer, right? Like diversity is important. We bring tons of different skills. Why wouldn't you want to hire a woman? That's where I sit with this.
I think, yeah, I think it's so important to sort of improve that culture, right? Like who wants to think of IT and cybersecurity in this like stereotypical male dominated field? Like it's just, it doesn't sit well, right? I mean, today I think it's so important to again diversify your people and the people that are working in the industry and again get those different perspectives. I think also women, it was said that women in leadership positions especially actually have better like financial performance within the organization, and you know again bring those different sort of employee satisfaction up. And so again we have so many different values and skills that we can bring in that I think shouldn't be ignored.
100%. Taylor, do you have thoughts?
I just love what everyone has said.
That's so
It like
good.
kind of blew my mind. I'm like, yeah, wow.
You're
I like
so
that.
great. You're just so wonderful. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's dynamite. Well, I think one other thing that we wanted to cover, because we do want to leave a few minutes for questioning, but we wanted to talk about, I believe it was mentorship too, because I feel that a lot of us got our opportunities through mentorship, which is pretty important. I know that personally, I have taken on several mentees, and that's been really rewarding, but I also had some dynamite mentors. So yeah, that's helped. I think that's helped a lot of people find confidence, recognize their importance in the industry, understand their skill set, and you know, make their path here. Taylor, how about, since you had so overblown by all of our answers, why don't you take that one first?
I love it.
Okay.
I had a friend say mentorships are like dating. So you go and you meet someone who you're maybe interested in having a mentor-mentee relationship with, and you might knock it out of the park. You align really well, you value what they're saying, and then you might meet someone and you're like, I don't see our relationship being beneficial to me. Thank you for your time, but like this isn't gonna work very well. And it's okay. You might reach out to someone thinking this is gonna be great, and you don't have to stay in that mentorship. And that was kind of eye-awakening to me. I'm like, oh, you're so right. That makes a lot of sense to me. And recently I developed a few mentor relationships, and it was weird to ask someone to be a mentor for me. It was like I was asking them out on a date. Like it was very much out of my comfort zone, but like I said earlier, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. I've learned so much from my mentors, and it's helped me in my current role so much. And yeah, they're so valuable. I really can't emphasize that enough.
So I love the topic of mentorship because it always brings out the conversation about developing your quote unquote personal board of directors. This is something that you hear in university. It's something you hear in early career, and it's probably something you'll hear throughout the maturation of your career. But having a personal board of directors is vital to your not just professional development, but also your personal development, especially in fields like information security and IT, where the two inherently tend to blend together. And from what I have found as I've been building my own personal board of directors over the last probably almost 3 years now, diversity is absolute key. I have taken time to sit with myself and say, listen, Shailynn, we need to identify the gaps. What are the areas of opportunity for us? And how do we find people that are absolute killers in those areas of opportunity that could help me fill these gaps? So that's step number one, is have the conversation with yourself, identify those gaps, and then go out and find people from all walks of life that look different from you, that are similar to you, that can not only help you fill these gaps, but will also hold you accountable. You're not going to develop, you're not going to grow, you're not going to change without accountability. And, I can say that, I have people within my board of directors. I have, very direct, blunt, straightforward men in my board of directors. I have the biggest empaths of all empaths also on my board of directors. Some of you know who this individual is. And I also have people that are so far removed from my own department, but also fill gaps that I have, but can give me advice and guidance and hold me accountable in ways that I never would have expected. And usually, yeah, some not the most comfortable conversations will happen. When you have a good board of directors, you will have conversations that just absolutely rub you the wrong way. And, I sometimes, one of my very, very, very well-loved mentors, she likes to tell me, Shailynn, sometimes you just spit venom because of your passion. And I get that, but you also have to understand where that can be a shortcoming if you're not channeling it appropriately. If you're not channeling it in a way that is positive in terms of outcome, not just for you, but for everybody else, you're going about it the wrong way.
And I think that's really, really valuable to bring up. I'm sorry to cut you off. We have 15 minutes, so I want to make sure. For myself, I would say that I have like stunning mentors, like really stunning mentors that I found one on Twitter.
The
Literally,
place.
Yeah, and I don't even go on Twitter anymore, but she put out that I'm taking mentors, message me. And so I'm like, yes, 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 yes. And I messaged, I'm like, please, please take me. And she did. And I have done podcasts with her now. I have done tons, like her and I have like done so much together, but every time that I'm having doubt or I'm not even sure where my next step is in my career, I message her and she makes time every time I need her. Doesn't even matter. She's like, yep, let's do it. And she walks me through my doubts. She helps me plan my career. She actually tells me skills that I didn't even know I had or that I've been ignoring. And I feel that's really important. But one thing that I want to touch on really, really quick is that mentorship is like, how do you find a mentor? I guess is where I'm going with this, right? Because that's one of the hardest parts is how do I just randomly message a person or go up to them and be like, hi, would you like to go on a mentorship date?
Exactly.
Right? So like it's so awkward.
Mhm.
And I straight up thrive in awkward environments, so it's perfect for me. But like I get it. So one thing you can do, just throwing it out there for anyone looking for a mentor is, you can go on LinkedIn whenever you find someone that's interested, maybe in a company you're interested in or in a field you're interested in, send them a message. Don't just try to connect with them with nothing because that person doesn't know what you're looking for. Send a personalized invite. Ask your friends. If you know someone in the industry, ask them if they feel there's someone you should talk to, right? It's a matter of taking different resources. And I know networking is scary for like 95% of the population, but sometimes if we, again, as we talked about, make ourselves uncomfortable, take those steps and ask those questions. Who do you know? Who do you think I should talk to? Is there, honestly, the worst case scenario that ever happens is someone says no. That's it. That's not the end of the world. You keep trucking and you find another person because someone will say yes. What's your perspective?
I love that. I know, I think you guys covered it really well. Again, getting that broader sort of perspective. Someone who will actually challenge you in your thought process is again sort of eye-opening because okay, I never thought about things that way. So it's kind of nice to see that other perspective. Totally agree. And then Ashley, I love that advice. On how to finding a mentor is hard. Yes, it's awkward. And it's like, I think we're all kind of struggling there because of that awkwardness. But I think the reaching out and just putting yourself out there is key. And since we do have 10 minutes left, let's move on to the next one. What advice would you give women in joining cybersecurity space? And I think, Ashley, again, with your advice, just going out there, like reaching out to people who inspire you and giving it a shot and sending them a message and just, putting yourself out there, I think is key. And then again, just sort of thinking about IT cybersecurity space, understanding that there's a lot more out there than just the super technical roles, kind of zooming out and thinking about it in the organizational big picture. There's so many roles there that you can really look into and explore. So don't close yourself off to just the super technical parts of it. Because again, there's, in my world where, governance, there's just like policy writing and, audit management, whatever it is, these are roles that are not very technical, but are still very much involved in the cybersecurity space. So just kind of consider that as you look forward to transitioning. Anyone else?
That's important. I think that for me, okay, this is advice I'd absolutely give, and it might be a bit blunt. I'm sorry. Like, honestly, first of all, speak up, ask questions. All right, your voice matters and your value matters, your feelings matter, you matter as a human and a person. So ask questions, navigate. However you need to learn about that career is how you need to learn about that career, whether that's through online learning, networking, pulling an Ashley and sneaking into a virtual conference, whatever works for you, that's what you're going to do. But I also want everyone to remember that each of you have over 1,000 transferable skills. Okay, so there are skills in they're like tools in your tool belt that you can utilize. So let's just say I work at Starbucks. Okay, I'm a barista, I'm working at Starbucks. Some transferable skills I have from being a barista is communication. Guess what? That's pretty relevant in security. I can be a quick learner and work in a fast-paced environment. Also relevant. Right? I can be critical, I can work with numbers, and I can actually work very quickly to solve problems that need to be done because I'm in a fast-paced environment. There are skills that are relevant to security. So just because you're not in a technical field, and if you are, awesome, you know what? Those skills are also really relevant. But don't let being non-technical influence your ability to walk into this industry and make your mark, because you will and you can.
Taylor,
That's
do you
awesome.
want to give your thoughts and I can close this out?
Perfect. And I'll keep it really short. I think staying open to opportunities and saying yes to things that you might be like, oh, that doesn't sound that fun. That's not very glamorous. Like, maybe no, I don't want to do that. I think being open to opportunities, like if I would have been a little security guard for all those summers, I wouldn't have ended up here. And I love where I'm at. And who would have thunk?
Yeah,
Right.
so my biggest piece of advice is just be your own number one fan. You know, cheer the loudest and the hardest for yourself, be your own advocate, be who you're meant to be, and then share that belief with those around you. Because honestly, we're all battling negativity every day. And knowing that we have one another every step of the way, it makes the world a difference. And you belong here with us. And we're really glad that you're here.
Yeah. Thank you. Dennis.
So can I just chip in on the answer to, right, on your advice? As somebody, you know, who hired and tried to hire a lot of talent, the thing I would say, and you covered this, is most of the skills that you have are quite amazing. And I think a lot of talent is very good at highlighting that. I think there's a lot of talent who thinks that's not relevant for that. What I used to say is when I'm trying to hire somebody, I look at who they are, their history, how they do, how they solve problems, how they work with the team, how they learn, you know, how they fit, how they react under pressure. Look, I've mentioned a whole bunch of things. I haven't said anything about being technical, right? I think, you know, there's a lot of people that I had these sometimes ridiculous conversations where I'm trying to convince them that they are engineers. I'm trying to convince them that they have all the skills that is needed. So I think there's kind of two things part here. I think the first one is present yourselves, like you said, you know, it's important. The other advice that I tend to give these days is when you look at something you want to try, give yourself the permission to act like it, and then present somebody else your vision, right? And actually, I've done that in my own personal job interviews, right? The reality is that it will not work, and when it doesn't work, it's good, right? So what I'm saying is that if you like a particular role, I would like to try that, just act like it. You have nothing to lose, and then present people your vision. The reality is some people might go, well, I'm not interested in that, and that's great because you just discovered, right, somebody you don't want to work for. But what you might find is you might find somebody who then looks at what you just said and go, yes, that's exactly what I'm looking for. And the reality is that you do need a sponsor on the other side, right? When you are going to do a jump from one industry to the other, you do need somebody who believes in you. What's important is for you to show your talent. And I like your barista joke, because we actually had a joke once when we talk about diversity. And one of the guys in my team says, so you're telling me the next thing you're going to be hiring is a dude from Starbucks, right? And
Yeah,
the irony, the irony is that we just hired, right, a store manager to join our team who happened to be a barista, right, in his past life, right?
Here's the thing that you can train. Okay, you can train people to be technical. Shailynn can train me to code. It will be a long time, my dear, but you could train me.
We can do it.
Yeah, we can do this. Okay, done. But you cannot train me to have patience.
Yeah.
Right?
And
a
handle
soft
the
skill
pressure.
versus a hard skill are two different
Yeah.
things. In which case, people take your soft skills and put them at the forefront, because I can work with you in other places.
Yeah. And my ask is leverage the Gen AI and the LLMs prompt, right? Revolution. I know there's a lot of hype, but the learning opportunity is real, right? And I think we very close to being able to create very personalized learning paths for individuals. And I think there's a great opportunity opportunity now for the new generation who wants to jump into cybersecurity to leverage that, where you can shortcut those many years of experience that you mentioned there, right? And I think it's up to the individual. So what I've learned was the only thing that we can't do is be the trigger of that energy of the person. So the person does need to walk the line. But I think today is fairer, and there's more opportunities. And when people say that you're still learning on your job, look, I've been doing this for a lot of years, and my whole generation and everybody I know, we all made it up as we went along, and that's how the whole industry. And I think cybersecurity, my final comment, is an amazing place, because even after all this, there's so much to do. So it's not a mature industry. So it's the perfect time to join in, because you're not dealing with minor things. You are going to be in the front lines very quickly, and it's super cool.
So we have 3 minutes.
And this is great.
And we have 3 minutes.
You can have as much as you want. We can keep
Does
going
anybody
if
want
you
to
want.
ask any questions? We have like 3 minutes. Does anyone have any questions or anything? Thank you for that one as well, Denise. I appreciate it. Are we good? Nothing? Anything in the chat?
I don't see anything in the chat.
No, okay. Well, I think then thank you for this, and yeah, you're absolutely right. There's lots of opportunity. And also, I believe, at least I think I can speak for all of us. You can find us on LinkedIn, and we're all welcome to giving our perspective or helping where we can. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good day. Thank you.